Hi, I'm Michele Parsons, and I'm here today at Klingspor's Woodworking Shop and the Pyrography Store, and we're going to discuss the portable rotating easel. One of the benefits of this portable easel is that it rotates very quickly, so that when you're burning, you rotate your work so that, for instance, if you're on the head, and you're wanting to burn the fur coming off the head here, you don't want the thicker part, which is where your burn starts, to be on the background out here. So you don't want to go in this direction. You want to turn it around and go in this direction. So this turntable gives you the ability to do fast turning as you're working and change your angles. When you're working on something and you are working with a skew, and you want to go around a curve like this, if you turn the easel, it can assist you getting around that curve with the skew. So you don't have to pick it up like you normally would have to brake and then pick it up and turn it and then start again. If you learn to rotate the easel while you're burning, then you can go right around that curve and you can make this very quick. Another benefit, when I pull this up at an angle, the smoke when I'm burning is going to rise straight up and not into my face. So it'll continue straight up here, whereas if I had it flat, the tendency is to bend over and the smoke goes in your face. So this easel assists with keeping the fumes out of your face. But if you're working on a very large piece, it assists you into working at the very top of the picture, so that you can burn up here. And the other, like if you had a 3.5 foot piece, the other choice would be is to lay it straight on the table, and you would have to bend over or stand up and bend all the way over to reach the top, which puts a lot of strain on your back. So this easel can assist you with burning at the top of the image while you're working. This easel has a turntable top that's got a Lazy Susan, and it's got a stop wedge which you can put in like this, and it stops it from turning. If you just jam it right in there, then it won't turn. When you're using this, you carry it by the handle here, and I usually reach right around here and put this wedge into the hole. But you can carry it with the handle here, and then lay it down with the handle towards your face, towards where you're going to be working or sitting. Then if you will lay your hand on the base and reach over and pull the turntable top up and reach under and lower this adjustment lever, you've got 6 different grooves positioning in. So it will go at 6 different angles here. And when you're done, just lift it up, fold this in, lay it back down, and then you can reach around and put your wedge in. Another question I get often is, how often do you clean your tips? And I have recently found out that a lot of people don't even clean their tips. And why do you need to? So I'm going to demonstrate here on this piece of pine. And you can see this is why we don't really work a lot on pine, is that it smokes quite a bit. The smoke that it produces. So pine smokes a lot, but it also produces a lot of carbon buildup on your tips. And you can see that better when I switch out to a piece of basswood. What I want you to look for is, see all these little black flakes that are getting in here? I wanted you to see the black, there it comes, the black flakes that are right here. If you leave that on your piece and burn over that, that is carbon buildup, and those little black specks will be fused to your wood. And therefore, you won't be able to get them back off with an eraser. You'll have to scrape them off or use a sandpaper, and sandpaper will usually take some of your burn off. So the best thing to do would be to clean your pens and clean them often. And there's the black flakes again, right there. It's like black dust. Another reason you want to clean your tips is that you want to make sure that your tip, the metal, is touching the wood, and that you don't have a lot of debris like carbon buildup or gunk, say tagua nuts or gourds or debris that would actually get onto the tip. So you want to make sure that you clean that off often. And so I am going to show you a method that I like to use. I've used it for years. I know there's many different methods out in the industry that people espouse to, like tea strainers, but I don't use a tea strainer because I use a very small ball tip and it would get caught in the openings of the tea strainer. So I stay away from tea strainers. I also don't use steel wool because if your tip is a little bit hot, you get you end up when you're rubbing, getting your tip down through the steel wool. Some people use sandpaper. I definitely don't recommend using sandpaper. And the reason is that these tips are so thin, it doesn't take much sandpaper to reshape them and to actually go through that thin wire. And your pens cost too much these days for you to destroy them. If you want to burn hot and you want to burn and use sandpaper, that's your prerogative. But if you want to save your pen and not have to change them out often, I would suggest using another method. The other things that people use are cleaning with like this V tool. It's got two razor blades in it. This is the older model of the razor tip cleaner. And it actually, you just scrape your blade. You can do that hot or cold, but you just scrape the debris off of it. The only problem is when you have a ball writer or a bent spoon, something that's bent, it's hard to keep it on this flat scraping motion. And you can pop the ball right off of there. So be careful if you're doing that. They have a newer model out that's a lot nicer, but it's not for all pen tips. Another method that people use, and I do recommend this for tips like, this is a feather former. It's got wire wrapped around the tip there. And what that's for is for placing on the board and then dragging it, and you get all the feather barbs at one time. But when you're cleaning that, you need to use a very soft brass brush like this one. And all you do is lightly buff it. And you want to get down in between all those grooves. You can use this brass brush for other tips. And you can lightly do this. But the wires like to get caught in the opening shapes. So it becomes difficult because you keep snagging it sometimes. You can do it, but make sure you brush lightly. Also, a word of warning, do not use the brass brushes they sell at hardware stores to remove rust, because those will actually scratch your tip. It'll scratch the metal. They're too hard. So at Klingspor, we sell this one that's got a lot of thick bristles, but it's soft, and it's made by Fordham. And we also sell this one by Razor Tip. It's also very soft. So when I clean my tips, I am using simply a piece of denim. You want to make sure that your denim doesn't have any kind of stretch in it, just plain denim. And then what I do is I reach over while I'm burning, and I can do this hot if I have a protector for my table. If you don't, put it on a piece of wood. But while it's hot, you can reach over and simply wipe your tip off. And the reason this is important, there are some materials you'll be burning, like tagua nuts. They're very waxy, and you'll have to reach over and clean that tip off of all the debris about every other stroke or every stroke. Gourds you have to do very often. Wood, not so often, but every 10, 15 minutes or so, I just wipe this off. Cleans off any debris, and it stops the carbon buildup from building up too much. And after a while, when you go back to burning, you will start to see a carbon buildup, even though you've been doing this. At that point, you want to change and turn your machine off and polish your tip. If this isn't working anymore, then you want to polish it. If you're burning and you notice a lot of dragging, you will notice that on shaders. It's on ball tips a lot. So as you're pulling it across your board, you'll notice the drag. If you've ever been working with a polished tip and you don't have a polished tip, it's got carbon buildup, it starts dragging. That's when I go to the polishing system. And for polishing, I use, because I have a background as a wood carver, I use the same thing that I use for honing my knives for wood carving. I use a compound. This is Yellow Strop compound that we sell at Klingspor. And all I do is just put that on a strop. And I don't have to load it every time, but you know, if it's getting too gunky, like this one has been used for years, so you can see all the carbon in here. And then all you have to do is reach over and go back and forth on this one. I do not hone my knives back and forth, but on this, since it's a ball tip, I just change the angle and go back and forth. And that's cleaning all that carbon off of there. And then the last thing I do is wipe this off. Make sure that your pen is off when you do this so you don't heat up the compound. But when you're done, then wipe it off on your denim, because if you don't, it's going to smoke as soon as you turn it on from any debris that's caught up in here. Polishing a skew, which is the knife blade, it's beveled on both sides, so you turn it on the side and just go in one direction. And then when you feel like you've got that cleaned, flip it over and go in the other direction. And again, wipe it off when you're done. It only takes less than a minute to clean these and polish them. So it's something that you should get in the habit of doing. Shader, and I'm wanting to polish that. Make sure that it's turned off. And then I just get it flat. You only need to polish it on the surface that's going to be on wood. If you're a person that likes to turn your shader onto its side, go ahead and do the side as well. But if you just use the bottom, that's all you need to do. Is go back and forth until you get it highly polished. And then wipe it off on your denim and you're ready to go. Now, the one thing I can say about this method is I have been using this for almost 20 years. I've got pen tips that are well over 10 years that look like the day I bought them, except for they're a little discolored up in the area, like up in this area where I don't actually polish it. Other than that, the shape is exactly the same. And I can tell you I've had friends that have used sandpaper, and they will go through a ball tip. Some of them have been through several ball tips in 1 year because it grinds the metal off of them on sandpaper. So this method I know works. Many methods work, but I can tell you that this one will work. And if you want to purchase any of these materials, we do have a separate polishing kit for pyrographers that we sell at Klingspor. And it comes with a linen bag that holds your materials. It comes with a piece of denim. It comes with the leather that you use the rough side in a bag so that when you're done putting the honing compound on it, you can stick it right back in the bag. It comes with jeweler's rouge. Now, instead of this compound here, you can use jeweler's rouge, and I would suggest using the blue or the red instead of the white. The white's a little bit more aggressive. It's straight aluminum oxide. This one right here is a general compound, and it's gentler on your tips. So we sell that in the kit, and you would do the same thing. You would just take your leather out of the bag and then, you know, put your stropping compound on there. And then we also put an eraser in there for your transfer images to erase the lines off. And it comes with instructions, full instructions on how to do this. So that is a kit that is for pyrographers. So in the upcoming months, we'll be doing Wood Burning Wednesdays, and we'll put our details about the schedule on our website, and that is at woodworkingshop.com/pyrography.
Check out the Burning Post newsletter, a monthly publication about pyrography that keeps you up to date with the latest machines, tips, and accessories for your wood burning business or hobby. The Burning Post is exclusively at the Pyrography Store at Klingspor's Woodworking Shop. Visit us at woodworkingshop.com/pyrography to sign up.